questionable, but expect them to be able to play. The Cobie Durant is questionable. John Wolford will be questionable. And then working through some different things with Cam. He wasn't here yesterday. He won't be here today, and he'll be out for the game. And we're just working through some different stuff. Want to be able to keep that in-house, and so kind of leave that, where that's at right now as it relates to Cam.
I understand that, Sean, but do you expect him to be a part of this team moving forward?
We're working through some different things right now, and so, like I said, just kind of want to be able to, hopefully you guys understand and respect that, want to be able to just keep things internal right now.
Is he okay?
Yes.
Earlier this season, you had talked
Yeah,
about a need for some urgency from him, and he seems to, while he's performed, he does seem to have struggled a bit to return maybe to the form, previous to his injury, and maybe frustrated at the whole team's lack of ability to get the running game going.
Mm-hmm.
Is this all part of that?
Yeah, I think no. It's one of those deals where, like I said, kind of want to be able to just keep things internally. But as it relates to just the football stuff, it is certainly not all on our running backs. We got to be better, starting with myself, being able to execute the fundamentals, the techniques of being able to get a hat on a hat, being able to press the line of scrimmage. So the run game truly does take all 11, but there's a lot of layers to it, and that's kind of where we're at with it. Guys that got to be able to step up. I think, you look at Darrell Henderson, you look at Malcolm Brown. We'll have Ronnie Rivers as a flex up, and so looking forward to seeing those three guys compete.
Who's going to play on that part of this week for you?
We're working through that stuff.
Center?
Same thing.
Right guard too?
Yep.
You mentioned Ronnie Rivers. He's a practice squad guy, also had a decorated career at Fresno State. What elements does he bring to the Rams offense that maybe people haven't seen before?
Yeah, I think he's a dynamic playmaker. He's got great contact balance, good ability to be able to see and kind of be able to navigate through traffic while being able to set up his blockers. He's got a good feel in the pass game. And so a lot of the stuff that I've seen, going back to Fresno or even just looking at him on the field here has been encouraging. There's nothing quite like when those lights turn on and you're playing real live NFL football. And so if he does get a couple opportunities, looking forward to seeing him do his thing.
Coach, you're talking about your running backs. What about your wide receiver situation?
Yeah, I think as it relates to just in general, or
Yes, in general.
yeah, I think a lot of people have asked about it. Offensively, we've got to do a better job. We haven't played nearly good enough for a lot of our guys to really be able to come to life. And we want to be able to stay on schedule, be able to threaten people with run or passes. Obviously, Cooper has still had good production, but you guys know, I think the best offenses activate all five eligibles. We got to do a good job. Higbee's gotten his touches. A lot of those have come in some of those situations where you're in known passing 2-minute, but he's a guy that can absolutely be a factor. Allen Robinson is a guy that's had too much success in this league to not be able to have some more opportunities, but it's not exclusive to sometimes the things that they can always control. I've got to do a better job. We've got to do a better job offensively, and then the execution. And then in some instances, those receivers get an opportunity to be able to come to life if those other things are getting done the right way.
Sean, I know this isn't the same kind of situation as like Deshaun Jackson.
Correct.
But it is a situation where
I knew you'd be the one to just keep finding a way to just keep asking.
No, but
I understand that.
When you're confronted with these kinds of situations,
Sure.
with all else that's going on, with your team, and you're trying to stay on track, how do you deal with this situation?
I think, it's part of it. I think, what I've been very fortunate with, Gary, and you know this because you've been here, longer than even I have in terms of, dealing with the Rams. But going into the 6th year, I think you realize how blessed and fortunate you've been where those things have been at a minimum. But that is what you sign up for. And you got to be able to deal with it the best way that you know how, leaning on the resources, asking the right questions, being willing to listen, then learn, and then you can lead and make decisions the right way. Never are they always easy, but I'm always going to try to do what I think is best. And there's a lot of instances where you're saying, haven't really been here. Who can I lean on to help provide some perspective and some context? And so that's what you try to do in any of these types of situations. But I do know that dealing with things clear, open, and honest, and in the best way that you think based on those values foundationally that kind of guide our everyday approach and behavior have helped. Is it perfect? I will never claim to be that, but I always do try to learn from the mistakes and make sure that, you use both the good and the bad to make sure that, you're doing what's best for everybody that you're responsible for as it relates to the decision making and some of those different things.
Well, you guys will, not knowing how this is going to play out, but even if Cam, returns, after the bye, will you guys be in the market for a running back?
I don't know. I wouldn't say no ever. I mean, we'll always explore options if we feel like there's chances to upgrade. That's probably not something that's at the forefront. What I am excited about seeing is, all right, hey, let's see if we can go find a way to play some good football against what we know is going to be an incredibly tough opponent. See if we can get to 3-3 and then be able to take a step back and do a lot of things that give us a chance to really exhale, but also address who we getting back, what does that look like as it relates to trying to, have the best plan for the remainder of the season that we're guaranteed. And those are things that, kind of want to just take it a step at a time. And that's where my mindset is right now.
When you hear personal or players pulled out for personal reasons.
Yeah, I would say it's more like we're dealing with things internally. That's I don't know exactly. These are kind of uncharted territory. And I think the biggest thing is out of respect for the situation, want to keep it internally. You guys will have more information later on, but as it relates to everything right now, that's kind of, how we're articulating it. I don't know exactly, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, well, Coach, I know you've been asked this a lot of times, but how much do you guys miss Andrew there on that offensive line?
I think anytime that you lose a leader of his caliber, it's always tough. You miss him a lot. He's a Hall of Famer. You guys know how much I love him and how grateful I am for everything that he's done. And he continues to pour into these guys, even if he's doing his thing on Amazon on Thursday nights. But we've had a whole lot of injuries, a whole lot of guys that, we're getting familiar with. And like I said, none of which is an excuse, but it's been uncharted territory in regards to the amount of injuries and the guys that have been asked to step up. But, these guys are gaining experience that I think will be beneficial. The closest thing we've dealt with was in the 2019 season. And I do know as it relates to 2020 and 2021, those guys that got snaps that maybe you didn't project because of some of the injuries ended up really establishing great depth for our line, serving us well. And that's kind of the approach and the, I guess, optimistic outlook that I'm taking with this.
I should have asked you this earlier this week, but forgot. David Edwards going on IR, the two concussions.
Yeah.
Where are you guys at with that? How's he doing? And obviously being on IR, that's an extended recovery.
It is. I think what it does, Jordan, is when you have back-to-back, it gives you a chance to really just take a step back. There's specialists with guys that have dealt with this before in Pittsburgh that have really helped previous people that we've dealt with. We're going to try to get him all the medical advice and expertise advice to really take care of the person first and then the player second. And so that was kind of what we felt like was best. Wanted to be able to make that decision for him. The nice thing is if he does end up returning, it's 4 games. But that's at the forefront, and to have those things go back to back is kind of what was reflected in that decision. And then, we have so many injuries. We did need that roster spot as well.
Yes.
Wrap up with
Go ahead. I'll let you finish and then go ahead.
Thank you. Just to follow up on that, so you guys will bring people in, or you'll have him go to Pittsburgh, or you guys have the outside consultant?
Yeah, he'll go see some expert. The plan is similar to what we did with Cooks a couple years ago. So we'll have him go to Pittsburgh, and I know those doctors were incredibly helpful and provided a lot of clarity for Brandon that he's done great with.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Coach, you ever have to take away in 3 games? What conversations have there been about that?
Yeah, I think, when the opportunities present themselves, we want to be able to maximize on those, Rashawn. And I think certain games, I got respect for Dallas. What they did was they played a smart game based on the control that their defense was able to establish over our offense. They get a 9-0 lead. Then they end up hitting that big run to get the lead back after we were up 10-9. And they played smart ball where there wasn't really many opportunities. So I do think that you get more opportunities when you're in those situations, particularly where you force people to throw the football. But because because we've been playing from behind against Buffalo, against Dallas, and when you look at it against San Francisco, your opportunities to get the takeaways are limited just based on if you say, all right, well, what types of plays are where the most frequent turnovers occur, and so I think that is a team thing. We got to be able to help those guys from our offense, from our special teams, and try to be able to play from the front where you force people to be more one-dimensional, where 80% of those turnovers are ending up occurring on those passing plays. Okay? Thank you, guys.